Okay. I'm gonna keep on single defense until I get used to these. Let's see, have you been able to do any chill art streams lately? Streams less so. So part of it is, here, let me actually just pop this off for a second. I made this last night. Well, we had finished watching it in Encanto, and Shell's like, I want to watch Tarzan. I want to watch a good Disney movie. Encanto was okay. Some of the songs were great, but the rest of it was, eh. At least as far as I was concerned. It didn't go anywhere. It was just the house the whole time. But I guess that was kind of the point. So I made that, and then also this. Yesterday is kind of just my thing. The thing is, trying to do a stream is actually really difficult. Because I don't talk over art. I have not developed that skill. I can talk over gameplay, but the moment I'm doing artwork, all of my brain and focus and everything is purely locked to what I'm doing and nothing more. And it's actually, like, kind of problematic. Not overwhelmingly so, but, so trying to stream artwork usually just ends with me barely talking or being kind of frustrated about not being able to talk. And so, let's see. So I don't do a whole lot of chill art streams, but I am trying to do a lot more art. Let's see, get to university this early? I mean, it would give me the crit chance, but the crit chance isn't that good. So let's go for heavy shafts, and, it's a triple split. This early? Ugh, this is rough. Encanto was great. They made, proper villainless conflict. I felt like it was resolved too fast. I don't want to triple split this early. That's awkward. Maybe not that awkward, but I want a little bit more of a run-up. If I'm going to be experimenting with particle cannons or encampments a little bit. I also find that Disney music has specifically gotten a lot more poppy lately. And maybe that was just Encanto. I don't exactly watch a whole lot of Disney movies to begin with. But that, there's quite a number of Disney songs that I remember vividly from my childhood, but I could not tell you anything that was, like, sung in that movie. And maybe I'm just being kind of an old grouch here. I miss the days when, you had these, like, really soulful, sad songs or something like that. I don't know. I think part of that is maybe you just getting older. Possibly. I'd have to think about that, because I don't, like, full go for the, like, old things were better. Do I want to start building for the haunted houses? Yeah. Encanto music was Lin-Manuel Miranda, though. It is his style. No, that's a good point. I think it's just very much me being out of touch. That is probably a major feature. Also, I don't want to, like, get into my constant gripes on Encanto. There were a couple. None of them were particularly, like, huge. But I also felt like a lot of the family, or even the townspeople, had, like, no development. So specifically, they had, like, the cousin that was the shapeshifter. And they were, as far as I knew, a gag piece for the entire movie. And I could not even remember their name. And I felt bad, because it's like, oh, that's kind of a neat power. I wonder how they use it. Oh, they just use it to be charming. I mean, I guess that's fine. Let's see. Grab this and expand. This is what I was looking for. This is a much better spawn. Holy shit. This is great. Townsfolk with character development, heresy. I'm just thinking of, like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess a lot of side characters in Disney generally don't get character development, period. It's usually like 5 characters tops and everybody else is just scenery. I think I might also just be getting a little tired of the classic Disney formula, because it feels like it's starting to leak into quite a lot. I've been watching the Book of Fett. Wow. Is it going to do this to me again? Let's see. But so I've been watching the Book of Fett every Wednesday with Shell, and it just feels kind of awkward. it's weird. It very much, like, doesn't feel like a Star Wars film in the way that, like, a lot of Star Wars does. It feels more kind of like Disney Star Wars. I think I had the same problem with, like, Solo, where it was trying very hard to be Star Wars, but it wasn't quite cutting it. And I wasn't sure where it was. Yeah, now that Star Wars literally is Disney, there's lots of overlap. Oh, absolutely. I recognize that 100%, that, like, go figure, it's going to kind of infect in. But, that it feels like there's a style that gets pushed in a way that might be too much. And that some of the media can kind of do its own thing. Within the Disney sphere. But it still feels like you can feel that overarching hand of the mouse in everything that gets made. You know, what's a good example? Kind of like how Sony games, like the big AAA Sony games, all have kind of crystallized around a specific style. It's not a bad style, but you know, you kind of know what you're getting when you play a Sony game nowadays. And many of them are like great experiences, but it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of variation within. And maybe some of their acquisitions, especially with like Insomniac or something, you know, they will remain somewhat individualized. I don't know. It's like Marvel's Spider-Man felt very much like kind of classic modern Sony. Ratchet and Clank felt like it had a little bit more soul to it. I mean, Spider-Man was great too. It felt very mass market. Kind of like the difference between Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2. Like, you really could feel the hand of EA starting to kind of creep in. And then by the time you get to the third one, then it's just like, you really feel it at that point. Let's grab Enchanted Bolts if I can get the frost earlier. What is this? What is happening again? It's doing the thing. It's not quite as good, but still. It's because AAA developers for movies and games both have a formula for blockbuster and hate to deviate. Oh, absolutely. But the problem is, like, I think that's my problem, that I need that deviation. Otherwise, I'm a novelty seeker to a high degree, and, like, admittedly, I've been playing this for like 24 hours over the last week or so, and that's maybe not enough. But that for me, I need new and wild and interesting things. And that I often feel like if something becomes formulaic, I lose interest in it. TV shows are especially bad about this. Have you guys ever heard the phrase jumping the shark? I'm assuming probably many people have heard the phrase in the past. I could do the Flamer Tower. This actually wouldn't be a bad run for it, but honestly, this might be a good Blade run if I want to go that direction. What the hell is happening? But yeah, every show jumps the shark eventually. There's a couple of examples that I can think of where it doesn't happen, but yeah, it's pretty common. But one issue that I have with a lot of television shows is that none of them are generally made with their ends in mind. That most TV shows are kind of made with, like, maybe a 2-season arc tops, and then after that they start losing the script really badly. Because television shows are kind of designed with the idea of go for as long as possible. And then just keep going until, like, ratings drop, and then you eventually just end the series. And the problem with that is that inherently means you have this kind of sad slump for a trajectory, where maybe the first season is kind of awkward, then the second season gets really good, and the third season maybe maintains the momentum, and then the fourth season loses the point, and then the fifth season tries to get it back, and then 6, 7, and 8 are just kind of eh. And you watch it and you're not sure, and then you get to season 9, you're like, why did I stick this out? This sucked. And they try and come up with some really harebrained finale to really, like, tie things together or bring closure, but at that point they've already lost all their viewership, which means they've lost most of their budget, And it just kind of feels rushed. It's like, yeah, we're done. And it's like, what? And so, like, this is a hot take, but I'm kind of glad that Firefly ended how it did, because I'm terrified of what would have happened if it had been, like, 7 seasons long. And maybe people would remember it fondly for the first 3 seasons, but I feel like, kind of like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was that television show that everybody watched. You know, that was the thing. It was almost kind of a great uniter where everybody was watching Game of Thrones for quite a while. And then... oh yeah, obligatory screw Joss Whedon, but still. But, oh gosh, what was I even saying with this kind of television shows and so on and so forth? By ending it at a reasonable time... Oh yeah, Game of Thrones. Yeah, by the time Season 8 happened, Game of Thrones was promptly forgotten. Thanks for getting me back on track. Oh, do I want to do Sawblades? We could definitely do Sawblades on this one. It's a grand linear run if I want to do it. I'm tempted by particle cannons because I haven't tried those yet. No. This is good. This is a good Shredder Tower run, more so than anything else. My thoughts are, particle cannons are better for a dense tangle. This is not a good dense tangle. This is a run. And should be treated as such. And there's our split. But it's fine. Let's see. Reminds me of Doctor Who is pretty good at the start of Moffat's run, then started falling off. But the thing that really killed it for me was when they did the whole thing about him reaching the end of his regeneration limit, and then out of nowhere he gets a ton new. Yeah, I think that actually would have been very powerful if they had actually just said, no, this is the end. Like, what if at the start of Doctor Who, they planned this giant saga, you know, ton of filler episodes just to keep things, you know, going, but very much written with kind of the ending in mind. And the ending could be anything to some degree. But that, you know, the 14th life, or whatever his final reincarnation was, you know, you reach the end of that, and then it stops. And that's just the end of Doctor Who. And, you know, if they want to go back and do more, maybe there's a remake, there's a something, I don't know. I would compliment Lord of the Rings for being something kind of like this, where Lord of the Rings, at least for the movies, the original trilogy felt very much like a complete package. And then they had to go back and do the Hobbit movies and kind of ruin it a little bit. Those were kind of fun popcorn movies, but it didn't have the same energy. But going back to, like, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. That is a perfect trilogy start to finish that doesn't really need more. But yes, they've been expanding it, and it's kind of frustrating because they could have just left it as is, and it would have been perfectly self-contained in a way that just feels satisfying, like it doesn't need more. And by adding on to it, it's just going to feel kind of eh? And who knows, maybe all the extra stuff is going to be good, or it's going to be garbage. I guess I think of it specifically kind of like, I think of it kind of like, let's just keep extending this, kind of like Star Trek, where most Star Treks, at least like a lot of the old ones, like Voyager was mostly good except for maybe the ending, and Next Generation and Deep Space Nine were pretty fantastic. And then by the time you get down to Picard, it's almost kind of this own thing, and you just kind of write that off and just maybe come back later. And so, who knows? Maybe the new Lord of the Rings stuff is actually going to be very good. I'm not betting on it. Nor am I going to put a whole lot of emotional weight on it either, if that makes sense. There we go. We really need to get that bleed tick to be, like, way high. The other Tolkien stories must be their own separate thing. Like, forget Lord of the Rings, this is another story. Yeah, which, I mean, I think is very much what they're supposed to be for the most part. Let's see. The end of Zebra Girl was a bit like that. Comic went on forever, but then the author ended it because it hit the end of its story arc. I remember going back to read the ending. I didn't actually read any of this stuff in the middle, but I definitely remember being genuinely pleased to see that it had gotten an ending. I don't know if it was a good ending, but it was nice. Star Wars, I think, is a kind of another good example of that. And admittedly, I think this is mostly just inescapable. But I wish for Star Wars they'd specifically written it, written in designs. You know, maybe after the success of the first 3 movies, Lucas had sat down and said, okay, I'm going to make episodes 1, 2, 3, and then 7, 8, 9. Finished them, killed off the, Skywalker, killed off Leia, killed off Luke, killed off Leia, killed off Han, probably most of them die of old age or whatever, who cares. But, kind of really planned around the idea of finishing this nonology. And then after that, sold it to Disney and said, make as much side shit as you want. You cannot touch the original series. I think that would have been really satisfying, because there would have been a feeling of, like, kind of conclusiveness, that I don't really get from the... Like, the prequels were okay. You kidding me? I'm just gonna not... That sucks. I mean, it's probably fine, as long as I don't put one down. But I absolutely despise the fact that, that the treasure chest can give you, new towers. What about Walking Dead? If you're Walking Dead, Walking Dead World Beyond, just stop it. Got bad after the 5th season. I have no connection to The Walking Dead at this point. Just nothing. I liked the idea of it, and I thought it was great. I think it would have made a perfect, like, 5-season saga. Hey, and thank you, Xander the Goose, for the sub. And welcome on in. What was I gonna say? But, like, Walking Dead would have made a perfect 5-season saga. And you could even have had it that it's, like, 5 years. And, because one of the main things that bugs me a little bit about a lot of zombie media is, like, the zombies have to rot probably pretty quickly, too. And most zombie media just kind of has, like, an endless amount of zombies for some reason. And it's just like, where are they coming from? Even if it's, like, a massive outbreak where most people turn into zombies, on, like, a baseline biology standpoint, like, whatever is animating them might keep them going, and maybe they turn into kind of horrible dried husks. That would be an interesting alternative idea. But, I think literally only Warm Bodies really explored that one that I can remember. I'm sure there's others. But, yeah, I would expect the wildlife to eat most of the zombies. And, like, even if that ends up with the wildlife getting zombified on their own as well, like, you'd still kind of hit this upper limit where you can't do too much more. And I know World War Z, the book, explored that, and I really gotta sit down and read those. Let's keep getting just shredders at key points. Probably just tons of them all over the place, actually. Wherever there's a 3 height, we just go nuts. Eat Sawblades, jerks. It's kind of fun to watch. They don't do a whole lot of damage to armor, but it doesn't really matter that much. But so, like, even if it zombifies the animals or something, ultimately dead things rot. Especially if they're not eating or not taking care of themselves. Especially if they're leaking and have open wounds. Wait, Warm Bodies, wasn't that the Romeo and Juliet but with zombies movie? Yes, and they had, like, some of the zombies were just kind of basic shamblers, but they had a number that, like, it took their skin off or something. It was, like, really freaky, and they turned into, like, dry husk-like creatures. And those were the, like, really advanced stage zombies that had gone, like, full bad. Whereas the rest of them, weirdly enough, after X amount of time, reverted back to being normal people for some reason. It was not a great movie, but I thought it was kind of an interesting alternative to zombie media, because it actually showed a couple of bits that most other zombie media doesn't have. It assumes the stuff animating them doesn't kill off any bacteria that could cause them to decompose further. But you'd still fall apart. Like, you're, I don't know. I still feel like the bodies would fall apart eventually. And maybe I'm quite wrong with all of this, but... I don't know. Let's just keep expanding this. It's just kind of its own nice long path. We could just have a series of spare shredders just going the way down. Yeah, weathering out a zombie apocalypse on a cruise ship would probably work out fairly well. Unless the zombies got on the cruise ship, at which point it would get real bad real fast. Yeah, without blood flow, the tissue would still die off even without the bacteria. Yeah, and so, like, maybe if everybody then got up as doot-doots, but even then, but so, like, regardless of how you want to kind of determine it, it always kind of bugged me a little bit from, like, a narrative perspective of the zombies still seem to just be this persistent problem years later in a lot of zombie media, and it's just like, it would only make sense if you keep having regular outbreaks. Oh, what is it? Dead Rising. Dead Rising, like, outright had a cure. Or not a cure, but it was kind of a thing that would forestall it. And it made a lot of sense where you had a society that kind of built itself around, yeah, zombies exist. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but at least, like, we've kind of built around it a little bit. I don't think it's a perfect way of handling it, but I thought it was compelling kind of in its own right. Let's see. Most health. There we go. And so for something like Walking Dead, I think it would have been really interesting if they had said, each season is a year, a vignette. A vignette of, like, the things that happen to them over the course of it. And maybe it's not, like, day 1, day 2, day 3. And, you know, they'd back off on the drama a little bit and really focus on, you know, really focus on the character moments or, like, overall plots and stuff. And then, you know, after 5 seasons, it just ends. And if you want to add more in the series, then you just do it from a different perspective. You know, what does a zombie outbreak look like in, oh gosh, was it Georgia? No, the Walking Dead game. Wait, no. I think they were both Georgia at the start. I don't know where you end up in the rest of the Walking Dead series, but I think it started in Georgia. But yeah, a zombie apocalypse in Japan. What's the difference? Korea? I mean, Train to Busan, kind of. And it would be really interesting to kind of explore this 5 to 10 year period within this fictional setting of this is the zombie outbreak. And then, you know, after X number of years, pretty much after X number of years, the zombies are not a problem anymore, or, you know, people have learned how to manage them somehow. The fungus idea in Last of Us is an interesting idea on zombies. Yes, it is. Last of Us is a good way of doing it. And the fungus makes a little bit more sense as far as, like, infecting people and kind of keeping them going, though I still feel like... Did they ever show what happened if it was, like, somebody that had been infected for, like, a decade? Did they turn immobile? Because I feel like after a certain point, they just turn into spore towers or something. Let's see. Ballistas do bleed damage, which would be useful, but not amazingly so here. Okay. Walking Dead is southeast. Fear of the Walking Dead is southwest, and World Beyond is I don't know. Because I think it would be really interesting to have, like, a shorter vignette of, like, hey, Walking Dead, but in Canada, and they're just kind of fine. You know, there's less people, but all the zombies froze, and then they just kind of dispatched them midwinter. Just a bunch of Mounties going around hacking up bodies. Okay, that would happen since they get glued to a wall and turn the area into a spore building. That's what it was. It's been a while since I've played Last of Us, and I didn't actually play the sequel because it got spoiled for me very fast, and I knew it was going to be very sad based on the trailers, and I was just like, I could just not watch this and probably be happier. And I was probably right. Or watch this, play this. I would love to see a couple of countries make their own zombie movies that are like, I'm not going to say as realistic as possible, but like make it almost, I don't want to say propaganda, but it's like, hey, you know who'd be great in a zombie apocalypse? Norway. And then they like make a video showing like how Norwegians would handle zombie apocalypse and why like their culture would be more resilient to zombie apocalypses or something like that. Mainly just because I think it would be really fun to watch, you know. Let's see. It would just be kind of fun to watch the variance in that sort of thing. There's no way it would happen, but still. Okay. I don't know. I think I'm done with this topic for the most part. I love the idea of zombie fiction. I find a lot of it is kind of, I don't want to say frustratingly unrealistic because it's zombie fiction, but that like I could really do for some wild realism in a zombie, in a couple of zombie movies and whatnot, just because. Let's see. Ballistas do poison damage. Ballistas do bleed. Bleeding enemies take extra damage from health. I'm probably gonna... I don't know, actually. Let's go for the bleed damage. We could also use the crit. Let's see. Anything else? I guess I should probably just start slapping some ballistas all around here. I was doing most health, but I think we might want to do... No, actually, I think most health is still best. Because fastest is usually pretty low HP, so it should get shredded by the ballistas. Okay. Yeah, here especially. Give me a bunch. I guess part of the reason why I'm so focused on zombie media, apart from me just kind of rambling into this, is playing Death Stranding has a really interesting kind of zombie media adjacent story. I find it surprisingly compelling. Do I want to get mana bolts? Yes. Have I even built a mana bank? Am I just kind of... Oh no, I built a couple. I'm just... This is a weird run. And we'll get another split. It's a pain in the butt. Let's see, I'm Legend. I'm Legend also has an interesting one. Though, less zombie and more kind of this other... It's more like cannibal cults feel than anything else. We get on World War Z then. Seriously, given the reaction to COVID, the least realistic thing is people actually getting the vaccine. Huh. Yeah, I should read that. I bought it used from the local library like a couple years ago. And I was like, I literally had it ready to read. And then COVID happened and I was just like, I don't want to read this right now because I feel like it would make me sad. Like, to some degree, I can't protect myself from that constantly, but at the same time, I don't know. This is ridiculous. Now, let's not expand too much forward. At this point, I think it's actually a bad idea. I think I'd rather just fortify this, especially. And make a series that zombies are only an issue for the first few months, and then it's just humans who took advantage of the situation. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think it would be kind of a compelling story in and of itself. To just have kind of those, like, weird disaster stories where it's like, it doesn't even need to do that much damage, but it shakes everything up a bunch. And it's like, yeah, this would This is maybe what would happen. I don't know. What about zombies? But zombies are animals and... Zombies, animals, humans are immune. And the world... I was going into an ice age. Real threat. With some humans who got zombie strain, but doesn't turn them into zombies, but makes them hate humans. That's weird. I feel like at that point, all you need to do is just... I mean, obviously get rid of the quote-unquote weird cannibal human people. And then just everybody becomes vegetarian, at which point the whole thing gets just derided as, you know, vegan propaganda. I actually had somebody accuse me of being a vegan propagandist the other day. I mean, other day, it was like 2 years ago. I just remember the comment. Because, was it 2 years ago? Yeah, it was right at the start of lockdown. Shell and I had gotten really big into, like, Beyond Burger and Impossible Meat. And somebody was, like, quite angry at me for shilling hard for Beyond Burger, because I really like it. And, I mean, I like Impossible Burger just that much more. But yeah, they were very mad that I was somehow part of this, like, vegan conspiracy cult thing to get everybody to eat vegetables, and I'm just like, where'd this come from? It just sticks in my head every once in a while that they seem to legitimately believe what they're saying. Let's see. Trail of Blood 2? No, we want to go for the poison damage. I was really hoping I could get this to, like, zigzag back over, because there's all of this space where I could have shredders hitting both sides, but alas. Then again, it doesn't really help that much. Oh, right. We killed Zombie Yogi. What do you give me? Well, there's the university, which we need. Frostbolts 2, which I apparently hadn't picked up yet. Crit chance? Hell yeah. Oh, this time, they just gave me everything. And Vile Consumption. Perfect. Amazing how controversial the statement "eat more plants" is. I remember, I don't know if it was this guy or somebody else actually, but I remember somebody else, saying to me effectively that they would be eating, more steak as a result of me eating less. And I was just like, that's really bad for you, actually? I want the range, but I think we want the bleed damage. We just want that tick rate to be high. But yeah, there were it was kind of like this weird sort of non-threat thing where they were just like, you know, I'm going to go out specifically and get like a 2-pound flat iron. I need it today because you're eating less. And I was just like, what? This is like weird spite. I think it's because for a while it's kind of popular to take the piss out of vegetarians and vegans, and it's kind of fun to make fun of them. Which, you know what, I can kind of understand that if mean-spirited humor works well for you. But the older I get, the more I realize, like, holy shit, just eating nothing but meat is just not good for you. And that you are like, the food pyramid is just this, like, hilarious false thing that was just kind of pushed on us. Was it by dairy? I think it was by, like, the dairy industry. It was like, hey, let's push the food pyramid so people get more milk and cheese. Okay. The only immediate problem is most enemies are not getting past me. I'm gonna keep going back. It's weird, but I do have friends that don't eat vegetables at all. Just don't like the texture and taste of vegetables. And, like, I can kind of understand from, like, a... no, I can't. When I was doing my study abroad in Croatia, I had 2 roommates that we were staying with. One that was somewhat adventurous, but he very much had trouble leaving his... Oh shit, I should be getting the haunted houses down. What am I doing? But he had trouble stepping outside of his comfort zone. And then the other roommate only ate dinosaur chicken nuggets. It was the only thing she consumed for the entire time we were there. And it was it was bad. Like, we go out to eat, and she would just sit there eating nothing because it wasn't a dinosaur chicken nugget. And I have no idea if it was a personal choice thing. It definitely wasn't health related. But so, like, we went to Bosnia, and she had I think she had a bag or something. I just remember there was an issue specifically where she did not have the dinosaur chicken nuggets, and we were trying to get her to eat something else, and she just was not cool with that idea. And it was just kind of this, like, weird pushback with her where it was like, hey, you want to, like, go out to eat with us? No. You want to do anything with us? No. Okay, then. It's like a weird reaction from people that were made to eat vegetables as a kid. I mean, I think that's actually kind of fair a little bit. That you pick up some, like, weird, unaddressed childhood traumas and you kind of express them in negative ways. Kind of? Lettuce tastes like soap to me. More often than not. Not all lettuce does. I find, like, the like, really light shredded stuff doesn't for whatever reason. But if you get, like, just a head of iceberg lettuce or whatever, it'll either, like, taste like soap or I need to just drown it in ranch. And then it doesn't taste like soap to me anymore. And my mother always would force salads on us for some reason, which is weird because lettuce is not exactly the most filling or healthy of things. I don't think we're actually going to find any university spots here. I swear I'm on autopilot, but I'm not seeing them. I go for scholarships, but I think I might not want to. Yeah, that was cilantro too. No, I don't. It's pretty much purely... Let's just go for a sanguinate. I'll live. Let's see. There's a carnivore diet and can help with medical conditions. Oh, absolutely. Like, there are exceptions to kind of almost everything. Though I'm not... I don't know. With kind of the life... with life being filled with people that are constantly pushing, like, you know, quinoa is the new superfood, or just drink a wine glass a day, it's good for your heart, but it's not actually. But it just kind of pushes, like, conventional wisdom, and it ends up turning into health advice in a bad way. And so, like, I'd have to actually read on that before I, like, fully believe it's a thing, but I could believe that it is a thing-ish. But so my mother always pushed lettuce on me. And so I do have that reaction to, like, lettuce on anything. I'm just like, I don't want it. But I don't say no necessarily. I just don't go out of my way for it. In a lot of cultures, some food is just anti-vegetable. Forget which TV chef it was. He asked a bunch of US kids if they'd eat vegetable X, Y, or Z. Almost all of them said no. I think part of it is a lot of American food is not actually, a lot of American food doesn't really handle vegetables that interestingly. Like, it wasn't until I started dabbling with, let's see, vial consumption 2. Oh, we want this. Win that crit chance. Oh, well, there it is. But yeah, it wasn't until I started dabbling with vegetarianism. Oh, well, I guess I gotta demolish that if I want to get a university in here. That's awkward. And it's just focused on probably shields again. Because that's the only thing I need to worry about. I guess the missiles could be a problem. There's a lot of robots. But maybe it's not a problem. I don't know. Whoops. I have lost my train of thought, and it's okay. Oh, right. American diets and vegetables. Like, for the most part, it's either boiled or steamed. You don't do anything really exciting. You know, Thai food especially does vegetables quite well. And, like, a lot of stir-fries do vegetables really well. Indian food does vegetables kind of interestingly. And I think it's just because American food is very... I don't want to say, like... vegetables are a component as opposed to, like, the stars of the show. And so, like, especially growing up in American households, usually the vegetables are the worst part of the meal, by far. And I think we don't really have anyone to blame except for kind of just Wow. Okay, I really should have gone for that research bonus. I think our dietary choices are somewhat a product of I don't want to say like poor culture. There we go. Let's just get a couple more of these. Anything that comes down here is going to get sawbladed to heck. A green bean casserole is so good. Yeah. Though I'm not quite sure if that's actually that healthy. There's a lot of... Well, I guess it's like cream of mushrooms, so maybe it's not so bad. Yeah, food culture in the US is really not very good for vegetables. They don't use them well, so everyone ends up hating them. Yep. Yeah, like, I could only eat broccoli with ranch sauce on it, which is almost counterproductive, but that, like, broccoli on its own ain't great. Broccoli in a stir fry or a curry, though, is great, but curry isn't really like a thing in standard American fare, and so you just don't touch it. Okay. Wow. This is such a ridiculous setup. The only unfortunate part is many of these are kind of underleveled. Oh, and we're not doing fire damage here, which is a little bit of a problem. Was it this one? No. Felt like one of these was doing like a ton of damage to them. Oh, it's probably a crit chance. Correctly boiled broccoli with a tiny bit of salt can be delicious. I can imagine that. Okay, make them suffer. Poison damage, damage to health. More bleed. There we go. Wow. What? What the hell? This is such a weird scuffed run. I don't know how to react to it. I've definitely found that I like vegetables more as an adult than I did as a kid, but they really need to be prepped right. What about broccoli and teriyaki sauce? Absolutely. Also delicious. Like, the wild part for me for all of this is very much this kind of odd reaction to, man, like, vegetables are great, but you need to actually have somebody that's willing to go outside of a comfort zone to make them good. Or go outside of, you know, just standard American fare to make them good. Sorry. Had a tickle in the back of my throat. But so, kind of across the board, just... I don't know. I've been very glad to have kind of moved around the country a bunch just to try a bunch of different foods and experience a lot of things. Because... what is a good example? I mean, I know my grandmother, my good grandmother, lovely lady, very, very old at this point, but that's besides the point. But so she specifically, what the hell is this? I don't get it. Okay, I really should probably have one of these be armor damage. Let's kind of work this one. We're definitely going to need some shield damage, but right now armor is bad. Let's see. Is it worth putting a shredder on top of that castle tower in the middle? Oh, this one? Yeah, actually. Probably is. This is so weird. Almost none of the regular enemies are making it because the Sawblades are just wrecking them. But my armor damage is so bad that the only enemies I'm having to deal with here are heavily armored. But yeah, I'll probably put a an anti-shredder shield, anti-shield shredder up here, maybe. Okay. Grab that. And all of these are kind of mediocre. That sucks. Let's just go damage to shields. Where's your range? Pretty good. What? What is going on? Why? Why are we in university? I feel like I'm in Cambridge again. We really need those university upgrades because I don't think I've ever had this many. And the game baited me on this too. I wonder if it actually rolls per occult shrine. Because I would love it if like a double university would actually just get twice the effects. Okay. I'm just gonna do shield damage on this one. I don't think it matters that much, but still. I mean, we're cutting through them now. We just needed a couple of levels and a couple of hard counters. And then we're good. Towers on the castle spots. These ones out here aren't as worth it. Maybe some ballistas, but I'm a little low on money. Because I more or less just want to lay down endless amounts of Sawblades. Because endless Sawblades make me giggle. Let's see, increased poison. Don't really care for that, but it's also the only thing that I can pick that isn't going to counter what I'm doing. I'm still mad about it picking Obelisk for me. Okay, another shredder for shields. I should probably go through and just kind of upgrade all of these. Oh, there's Robo Oogie. He's not that big of a deal. Let's see. Yeah, I did put one here. If there were more kind of along the center point, like this one maybe is kind of viable, but the problem is I really want to have all of my shredders along this line. Let's see. Probably just get each and every one of them up to level 10. Probably with a lot of shield damage. Even though we don't need it at the moment, it increases my base damage on everything else. And I know 100% shield damage is going to be our biggest problem. And so I'd rather just have a bunch of staunchly anti-shield shredders just on the way down. I could upgrade them further, but I don't think I need to too much. It's round 11 when you started, now you're 2 rounds ahead of me. It's because, I'm not really going for slow, I'm just going for fast. And the Sawblades really put a lot of things down. Except for Robo Oogie. Robo Oogie might actually be a bit of a threat here. I don't think he's going to be one. Yeah, one of my problems is that my crit rate isn't actually that high, so we're not getting the sanguinate damage. Or do we have the fire? Oh, I really wish you could have flaming Sawblades. It was a thing of beauty. Or it would be a thing of beauty if I could have red hot Sawblades that leave fiery trails behind them or something wild like that. Alright, it got dark in here. Guess it makes sense. Yeah, Flaming Sawblade sounds awesome. I know! And you can even have the trail just follow along into the ground. I don't know. Yeah, it's fine. Robo Oogie isn't a problem. Last time I did this, Oogie was... I think it was Robo Oogie that killed me. Could have been Zombie Oogie. actually, that had done me in, but I'm not quite sure. Okay. Attack against bleeding enemies have a higher chance to crit? Yes, we need that pretty bad. Also, he dumped his chest inside my tower, which is confusing. Confusing. Trail blood? Nah. Is it only one chest? I think it's only one chest. Wow, rude. Stingy and rude. Oh, I should probably expand that one. Just because I just wanted to give these things something to shoot at. And also, another shredder? Another shredder. There we go. They've got such a long run. It should be fine. How are we looking? Because this is going to be kind of a death by 1,000 cuts. Through loads of foes. And it seems like my health damage is mostly fine. Alright, there we go. I think we're good. Since you have shrines, what about adding holy and demonic elements to towers? Huh. Maybe? I think a lot of the elemental system probably just needs to be overhauled on this game a little bit. Because you can kind of build around it, but all the individualized perks aren't that interesting either. Let's see, do you think Oogie gives a number of chests depending on where he died, or are you unlucky? I think Oogie doesn't know how to count. Hey, did I squander any grave points? No, this was actually a pretty piss-poor run for... Hey, crits. That's one of the ones that we need. Yeah, I mean, these are still making me plenty of money. God! Ah, it's so rude. Put an iron vein right in there. It's fine. Okay, are all of these upgraded? To at least have 5%. Yes. I want the upgrade that increases it by 3%. I'd say they've already paid out reasonably well. I'm just going to have a couple here. I don't think we need to worry too much about armor. I think it really is going to be shield damage at this point that's going to do me in. So what's the university do? Random chance every round to increase my global, global damage multiplier. So in this case I have a +6 shield damage across the board, which is pretty strong, actually. Put a shredder here. What's this range? Kind of bad. I'd be better off putting more shredders here. There we go. Then there's just like the 1 or 2 guys that live. Let's see, anybody else? Cause yeah, getting everything up to like 15-ish isn't a bad move. Okay, more crit, expunge 2. I'd like expunge 2, but let's get our crit up. Let's just fill that out. Wow, this had a lot of splits. Kind of a weird run. Worked well enough. Decent setup for Sawblades. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to go for the research upgrades at this point. It mostly paid out, but not nearly as well as the last couple runs. We'll see on wave 40 how things are going to stack up, because I think I'm holding my own pretty well. Let's see. Have any other +3s here that I'm missing? Yes. Put a lot, actually. I'm just gonna have tons of Sawblades going all the way back. None of my Sawblades need to be good. Just every single one of them needs to be reasonably powerful. Enough that they can get the expunged crits. Because they're just going to rip through things, crit, 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 crit. And hopefully kill. Or at least spread bleed. Should probably also just get a bunch of ballistas around here. Just to spread the status effects, but I don't know. Let's see. Damage to shields, sure. A third, put that there. $16, $15. Is there another one? Nah. There we go. Yeah, these are not quite as powerful. Oh, this is working. I honestly thought this was going to be a little rougher, considering bleed damage doesn't do bonus and we don't have much for anti-armor here. But you really can just brute force it with a really good straightaway and a lot of high spots. And then obviously upgrading all of my Sawblade launchers to just be nice and punchy. I'd wager the Sanguinate crits are actually doing a very, very good job of just shredding things. It's kind of hard to see it in action, but it does seem to be just doing gobs of damage to anything it hits. Well, we won't know until the next wave. That's when everything gets weird. Do we just go for Expunge anyway? Sure. We're barely doing any poison, but I can probably fix that. Now the problem is, I have no idea how many of these I actually put down. They also don't have a whole lot of levels to them. I could upgrade them. Might not be a bad idea. Just go through every single one of these and just make sure they're at least level 15. Because it's not very expensive to get them up to 15. It's just mostly time consuming. And I'm being weirdly impatient at the moment. I think I've been playing a little bit too much Rogue Tower, but that's okay. And I'm out of money. Alright, it's fine. Bam! Well, so what this is going to do is apply poison generally to the toughest enemies. Hopefully. Hopefully that also means the enemies with the most amount of shield. That doesn't necessarily remain true. I think it's mostly fine. I can't imagine the eyeballs are going to have as easy of a time ripping past just due to the sheer number of, sheer amount of splash damage that I'm putting out. Because the further the enemies get, the harder it is for the ones behind them to go further. Because it actually... Most of my Sawblades are back here. I only have, what, 5 in this area? 6 in this area. It is hurting my mana kind of bad, though. There we go. That should be better. And yeah, I'm just gonna level everything as I go by. I got more money than sense, and nothing can stop me. Come on, give me a little bit more. There we go. Beautiful. Wow. I thought the last round was strong. I mean, I think the real answer is just single lane dual tower builds are kind of inherently busted across the board. As much as I'd like to go for a little bit more variation, or not variation, I should start doing the dual lane runs. I think if I want more of a challenge, though, I think I'm gonna use this time just to study as many of these towers and figure out like what makes them sing. But once again, if I can beat a run just with ballistas, I should be able to beat most runs with 2 towers no matter what. Where are all these people going? They must destroy my tower. They want it dead. Why, I'm not sure. I love how the Sawblades just blow through enemies at high speeds. Not causing them to bleed, but causing them to explode in showers of coins. Wow. It's a lot of coins. Yeah, I got your butt handed to you on the particle cannon one due to lack of AoE. I think you have to make up for that with, like a strong ballista presence, because ballistas are really, really good. But I could see particle cannons still carrying, like, all you need is just X amount of particle cannons to pop all of the big dudes, and then you leave your ballistas for cleanup. I think that's the way to do it. I never noticed the coins until now. Were they always there? The coins specifically happen whenever you get a crit. It's kind of misleading. You would think that it specifically is just tied to let's see. Is this 3 height? This one. What level can I make this thing? They get expensive. Level 50 Sawblade launcher. That's some good damage right there. But yeah, high shield damage particle focused only on high shielded enemies. They'll pop all the nasty shield armor. Yup. Ballistas do damage to health. I don't care that much. Trail of blood level 3. Sure. How much money has this made me? 617. So yeah, the haunted houses are very worthwhile, but only if you get those efficiency upgrades. Otherwise, they're mad trash and not worth trying. Wow. Yeah, when it hits like a particularly dense group of enemies and it's just immediate coin explosion. Wow, yeah, like right here. Yeah, despite their lack of alternative elemental damage, if you go really hard crit on Sawblades and have a Sanguinate, then pretty much nothing can stop you. It doesn't matter what else you're using. Because yeah, the crit damage is just so damn high. And you don't even need to like really focus on slow either, because it doesn't matter. You honestly want them to go fast because Sawblade launchers fire kind of slowly, so you want to trigger as many of your Sawblade launchers as possible. Reminds me, don't know if people know, but you actually get more money the more types of tower hits an enemy before they die. It's true, but it's not worth it. Reason being, oh wow, some of my Sawblades hit the portal and kill the beholder immediately. That's special. There we go. So I don't actually think it's worth it. So if you notice, I have Obelisk. I don't want to have Obelisk. I wish I didn't, but I do. But so the main thing with the Obelisk is that it is constantly giving me potential Obelisk upgrade options whenever I level up. And if I hadn't picked up Obelisk, then it would only just be offering me the Obelisk. And so by picking the Obelisk up, you suddenly bloat your deck by 3 more cards, 4 more cards, something like that. It's not that big, but it's enough to be annoying. And so, the more towers you pick up, the more bloated your deck is going to be. Hopefully you get the upgrades that you want, or you're just savvy enough to kind of leverage all of your towers kind of in their base state. But that, so far from what I've experienced, it actually really does seem like don't actually bother with going tall, or like going wide. Just stay tall, and you'll actually have a better time of it. Let's see. The obelisk has no use here? Yes, so I'm actually doing a 2-tower challenge. It just forced the obelisk on me. Hopefully that does not prevent me from getting the achievement. I wish there was a skip function for that. Or just a reroll occasionally. Honestly, I think just boss chests should never give towers. It's not worth it at this point. None of these are worth it. I'm just going to grab it in the Hail Mary that I suddenly get a bunch of extra stats. I got 1 shield point, whatever. It's fine. Let's see. But so, you know, I haven't even been able to get all of the perks that I'm specifically looking for with just like a 2-tower setup. And so maybe if you started over and built around like a specific build when unlocking stuff, that's how you could get the perfect build. But that sounds like that would be an immense amount of work, and I'm not interested in it. Yeah, using more towers actually requires you to have a very good idea on where to use them and why. Yeah. The rerolls that cost more and more gold could work. Ooh, yeah, that would work. Holy shit, I have a lot of money. This has got to be one of my richest runs I've ever done. Like, I'm easily getting 30,000 per wave, and I'm not quite sure why. It only costs 10k to get it up to level 40. Whew. Because the enemies are full of money. It is true. Alright. And shredders gain damage to armor. Sure. Or shields. Shields. Who cares? Last wave. Fight me. Okay, you know what I'm going to do for maximum silly? I'm going to just do that. There we go. So what this does, anybody that gets close just gets bombarded by Sawblades. They're not good Sawblades, but it's a lot. I want to see what happens. They're not making it. They don't live long enough. Get 15 shield damage from so many universities is sad. It's because I didn't get the, I didn't invest into them particularly hard, unfortunately. I'm not spending fast enough. I know. I don't know. Haunted houses everywhere. You can't stop me. I will tax all of the ghosts. I think they're all dead already. I think we killed Robo Oogie off camera. Or maybe he's still alive. He's just taking his damn sweet time. No, there he is. I will tax nothing because I am a benevolent IRS. I can do it. Fit in 23 more houses. Don't stop me. You can't stop me. Got it. This is silly. I'm screenshotting this just because I can. Like, the sad part is Big Brain Oogie just, like, shows up at the end and just can't do anything about it. He's just pathetic. Not mana bank madness here. It's just haunted houses. Oh, you can actually turn off the victory screen at the end. That's probably quite useful for certain people taking thumbnails for YouTube. Anyway, oddly enough, the ballista's damage per gold is almost as much as my shredders. Though you really can tell that the shredders did 15,000. No. 15 million damage versus just 1.8 million. Like, the damage differential there is just because I didn't invest in ballistas in the slightest. And I was wasting money on my shredders just because I could. Yeah, I did dump a ton of gold into useless shredders at the end. It's very true. It's very true. Well, that was fun. I think that's going to be the end for me, though. I'd like to play more, but I'm tired, and I want to go make some food. Because I've had all of a parfait for dinner. Did I get the achievement? Did I get the achievement? I think I need to reload the page. Yes. Looks like I have it. Rip and tear. Building only ballistas and shredders. Perfect. Let's see. Do I squeeze in one more?